What was the duty of care for Raleigh Anesthesia Associates to Mr. Sizemore? The duty of care for this specific case was the anesthesiologist, which they are supposed to give anesthesia to the patient so that way he doesn't move or he's not awake during any type of surgery. They even went through their pre-operation steps that they're supposed to go to before surgery, and they put on the mask for him but didn't turn on the gas. So I think with that, and then they gave the non-polarized drug muscle relaxer to actually make sure that he wasn't moving during it. Did Raleigh breach that duty of care? How did they breach their duty? Did it result in injury to Mr. Sizemore? They did breach that duty of care because they didn't realize that the anesthesia was actually on and turned on and he wasn't given it, which is why they have a job to monitor the patient while they are under and to make sure that and to notify the doctors when they are awake. And so I think they did breach it because it has caused some psychological issues afterwards. And what had happened is after they realized that they didn't put him under the anesthesia, the doctors didn't tell Sherman about it and about them not having him under the anesthesia, which then caused him to be not under it for 16 minutes, which is when they realized afterwards. Describe the injury. Were the actions of Raleigh Anesthesia Associates causally related to Mr. Sizemore's injury? The injury that he had after the surgery, other than to find a gallbladder issue, he had mental issues afterwards. Not only that, what he thought was scary and what he thought had happened actually happened to him. And now that he realizes that it actually happened to him, he is struggling from PTSD, and some of those symptoms that he has is he couldn't be alone, he can't sleep, he's having this really intense fear of being buried alive. And since they forgot to tell him what actually happened, he was suffering from PTSD, and then he also then committed suicide 2 weeks later. Because his brain just couldn't handle it anymore. Think in terms of the causation of anesthesia awareness to his symptoms of PTSD and whether it was the cause of his suicide. It was, because he was awake during the surgery, which is the phenomenon of anesthesia awareness, which then has led to him talking to his friend about what he had went through, what he's feeling, and not only that, his friend talked to his friend, which is a doctor, and then the family didn't actually realize what was going on and why he was the way he was, and what had happened was when it was the wake. At the wake, this doctor told them, obviously this doctor was not a part of the operating team that operated on him, so then the doctor told the family, because I think personally he thought it was ethically necessary that the family knew exactly what was going on. I think if the operating team told the family and Sherman that they forgot to give him the anesthesia and that he was actually awake during the surgery, I think they could have offered some psychological help. I think that they could also prevented him from taking his own life, and that it probably would have helped stop those horrible thoughts that he was having. Do you believe the plaintiffs in this case, which is Mr. Sherman's daughters, would prevail in their claim? Why or why not? I do think that they would, because the anesthesia team did miss a step in their pre-operation steps that they had to go through, and the fact that they didn't know he wasn't under anesthesia until 16 minutes into the surgery tells me that maybe they missed a step and maybe they should find a different job. of that sorts. So yeah,